I bought a car for my niece, and it made her brother furious.
She's fast, he's furious.
So I, 50 male, have a niece and a nephew who are both 18 and just graduated. A few years ago, when they were entering high school, I made a deal with them. If they kept a B average their entire time in high school, I would buy them any car of their choosing, within reason, of course. By the way, this comes from user OldManRedditTA, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give you good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. As OP says, we added a clause, a Santa Claus, that they got one semester forgiven. So they were able to mess up one semester, and I wouldn't hold it against them. I felt like 7 out of 8 semesters with a B average was pretty fair. My niece maintained her grades. She did mess up her sophomore year, but otherwise was right on track. My nephew, on the other hand, pretty much never did right. We were lucky that he even passed every semester. I offered help, tutors, books, and tried to make sure he was okay mentally, whatever he needed. But it turns out he just straight up was not doing his work. He did well on tests, but would never do his actual work, resulting in his grades being low. Last week was when my niece got her car. She chose a 2025 Toyota Camry. My nephew kept asking when he was going to get his. And I told him, hey, buddy, you didn't stick to your end of the agreement, so you're not getting a car. He still got a very nice gift for his graduation. Now he and his mom are angry with me and saying I'm favoring my niece. He's refusing to speak to me or his sister. I don't think I messed up, but I'm starting to worry. And we have some comments here. Comment 1 says, not the a-hole. You made a deal and you choose to F around and find out. Academic struggles are one thing, but being irresponsible is quite another. OP says, yeah, I felt the same. I know school had always been a little harder for him. That's why I was trying to help before just giving up. But when it turned out he was making 90% on some of his tests, but those were the only things he did all year, I sort of lost sympathy. Comment 2 says, not the a-hole. You made the rules very clear. Question, though, has he been tested for ADHD? OP says they've both been tested. Niece has it mild, nephew does not have it at all. I was the same way in high school, so if that was the case, I would have also been a lot more understanding. Comment 3 says, don't want to say you're the a-hole, but if I was your nephew, I'm definitely holding it against you forever, and I can imagine the everlasting jealousy of his sister now driving this car. He's basically going to be reminded every single day about it, too. So maybe I'm going to be one of the few going against the grain, actually. It was a cool concept to motivate them, but not everyone learns the same. And now he's just going to feel worse about it, too. Well done, a-hole. Comment 4 says, I get where you're coming from, but at some point, consequences have to mean something. He could have spoken up and told his uncle he was struggling. Judging from the post, I'm pretty sure he would have understood. He clearly did his best to support him and keep him on track. And let's be real. If he still got the car despite not meeting the original agreement, the niece would have had every right to feel resentful. It wouldn't have been fair to her at all. OP says, yep. I told him if he needed help to come to me. And as I said, I offered tutors or anything and even told him I would give him an extra semester if he would take advantage of any of the help I offered. I attended a parent-principal meeting with him because he was in danger of not graduating. When I found out it was just from him being lazy, I knew the deal was off the table. OP on his nephew's gift. My nephew got $5,000 for his gift.
What?
My niece did not get that. He could use that $5,000 to buy a car right now. You can
OP.
buy an old Honda Civic for that.
OP, can you be my uncle? That's crazy.
Dude.
The fact that he got $5,000 just to graduate. Bare minimum. To just pass.
You're fine.
And he's still complaining that I didn't get a car. Brother.
So, okay, OP continues. My nephew got $5,000 for his gift. My niece did not get that. He does also have full access to an older car that runs excellent. It's just old and not amazing looking. I thought maybe he would use the money to get it repainted or something, but I'm not sure. He has been tested twice and does not have ADHD or autism. I also had it in school, so I would have completely understood, but also he agreed to the deal. It wasn't like I just sprang this on them. They had agreed, and their mother had as well. Does OP's nephew have a job? OP says yes. He got fired from his only job, though, because my sister-in-law went in to yell at his boss. Where are the twins' father in all this? OP replies, my brother is not involved. Oops, meant to add that in the post. I'm basically their father figure. They call me Papa Unk. LOL. OP responds to a downvoted comment about getting his nephew an older car. OP says, maybe. He does have full access to a car, though. His mom has two and never drives one of them. It's honestly old and raggedy as heck, but it works. Definitely no sharing. And yes, my nephew's grad gift was $5,000. I'd been saving for their graduation since they were babies. And there's an update 3 months later.
I have nothing else to say. We've said our piece. Why are you crying?
Yeah, I think honestly all you can do is just have like a sit down conversation and be like, hey, so this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm holding to our original agreement. I don't like you any less than your sister. It's just that this is now a valuable way for you to really soak up the lesson.
This is a life lesson.
Yeah.
And, it'd be really funny just to mess with. I hate messing with them, but like, hey, here's a reset button. Click it. It just says, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Would you go back in time and do all your homework and do all of this? And he says, yeah, I would totally do that. That's great. That's a life lesson. Now do that from now on.
Yes, life lesson. We have an update 3 months later. Let's see what they say. So first, I sat down with my nephew and his mom to talk it through. I explained that this was the deal he agreed to before starting high school and that he has known for years he was not getting the car. Some comments say I led him on, which was not the case. He had been aware of not getting the car for years and that his sister followed through. He did not. Well, all of that to no avail. He was still sulking and pretty angry. His mom felt I ruined his summer because he couldn't drive himself around, and because he refuses to speak to his sister, she won't drive him either. I then discovered that my niece was being punished at home because she would not let nephew drive or ride in her car. I told him I was not forcing her to, and it pretty much turned into a fight between me and sister-in-law. Also, to address a few comments I got, my nephew still got a very nice grad gift from me, and he does not have any learning disabilities, like since comments suggested. And also, he has been aware he was not getting a car for around 3 years at this point. And by the way, you can listen to almost 3 months worth of stories like these in full episodes that you can listen to on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to them all.
Again,
this is ridiculous.
In the comments, I mean, we've said it. This nephew of yours is just an entitled brat. He's a mama's boy. You are the father figure, and you are showing a valuable life lesson. I would talk to your sister-in-law like, hey, if he, we're giving participation trophies out now. Is that what we're doing? We don't.
Yeah. And it's like, this is not a surprise. The agreement was made. We've known for years.
She was there.
This was not going to happen.
Sister-in-law was there with the agreement and said, yeah, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Sonny? Just got to keep your grades up, or at least try. He's like,
it's like he could have. He was smart enough to pass. He could have just done the work, but he did not.
He just wasn't smart enough to try.
There was a guy I went to school with a guy like this. Literally asleep in class, like did not care, didn't do his homework, didn't really care for any work. Tests came around and he'd always pass the tests.
That was me, honestly.
And he had like D's because he did not get any of his grades up.
So that wasn't me.
Because he was like, I'm passing, it doesn't matter.
I just didn't go to school.
But he was smart.
I did play a lot of hooky. Go to school, kids. But I played a lot of hooky, but I was just doing all my homework, all my tests.
Yeah.
I was passing with flying colors.
As for my niece, she's been nothing but grateful. It was planned for her and her brother to move in with me, but only she has. I have not heard from or seen my sister-in-law or nephew in about a month. They have also both blocked and cut off my niece, which has been hard for her. Me and my wife are working on getting her into therapy, but otherwise she is doing fine, and we love having her. So things are still hard, but we are all working through it. And there are some comments. Why were they planning on moving in with you? OP says they both planned to move in with me when they graduated, purely because my house is bigger and they wanted a change of environment. Comment 2 says, what else are you doing for her? It's starting to feel like you can provide them a lifestyle their parents can't, and she's taking advantage, and her brother is jealous and bitter he's not benefiting. I don't blame you for sticking to the agreement with nephew as long as it was clearly laid out from the beginning, and for him to treat you this way after you still got him a nice grad gift is just spoiled kid behavior. Oh, and shame on your sister for not sticking to any principles or standards. OP says, my nephew is still welcome to live here if he apologizes. I was always going to pay for both of their colleges or wedding, whichever they chose. Both of them have known this their whole life. I'm paying for niece's college, and I still plan to pay for nephew's wedding. My sister-in-law isn't super well off, but by no means is she struggling. She could easily afford a car for him. She's just too cheap to do so. Niece also is not paying to live here. Yep, it's been clear since day one, which is why I don't understand why they are behaving this way. OP on having his niece's car in his name. OP says, I do have a say in it, as the car is in my name. Also, she's an adult, so her mom has no say in what she does, period. And neither do I, honestly. Yeah, she wanted it in my name because she was worried her mom might try to actually take it. And at the time, it was still a few months before they were supposed to come live with me. Now that she lives with me, we plan on switching it over. Still a gift, just protecting her. Comment 3 says, this whole thing perfectly shows how being right can still blow up your family. You didn't break any promise. You actually stuck to the deal exactly as stated, but you completely underestimated how pride, shame, and family dynamics work. Your nephew didn't just lose a car, he lost face, and that humiliation got redirected at everyone else. Now your sister-in-law is furious, your nephew's cut off his own sister, and your niece, the one who did everything right, is paying the emotional price for your rigid fairness. You didn't create a lesson about accountability, you created a hierarchy. One winner, one loser.
No!
I disagree. I cannot disagree more with this.
Who is this? No. Everyone is supposed to be winners.
He also won. He got
won
$5,000, and he was going to have his college or his wedding paid for, and he was going to have a place to live for free.
It's his pride and his arrogance and his selfishness and his bratty behavior that got him into this debacle.
Twice the pride.
Double the fall.
That kind of setup always ends ugly in families because people don't separate logic from feelings. What's genuinely concerning, though, is that you don't seem to realize the extent of the damage you've caused. You're describing a complete family breakdown like it's an unfortunate side effect, when in reality, it's the direct consequence of how you handled this.
Nope.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's a direct consequence of how sister-in-law raised her son, and clearly, even after discussion, refused to see, okay, this is fair.
We're taking generosity.
There are no real losers here.
This commenter is taking generosity and like fairness and actually providing a deal with somebody as like, no, you're an a-hole. You should have never done that.
Yeah,
you're a piece of crap.
It's weird. It's being like, yeah, OP, you should have just bowed out to your difficult family and not held to any principles or agreed upon terms. Because you should have known that.
Life lesson: just don't give anyone anything. Just give them a thumbs up.
Yeah,
Jeez.
This commenter continues, and honestly, it's weird that you made a long-term deal with minors about something this big without really including their mother in the process. That's not your call to make alone. It blurs the line between cool uncle and overstepping adult, and it probably added to the resentment your sister-in-law feels now. You're not evil, but you overstepped, underestimated the emotional fallout, and now act like the outcome was inevitable. Sometimes fairness without empathy and without boundaries just looks like cruelty wearing a suit. OP replies, to set this guy straight, their mother was involved the entire time. I asked her before I ever brought it up to them. Also, it was not one winner and one loser. They both could have won or lost. And lastly, I make a vast majority or all big decisions in their lives. For much of their lives, I was raising them without sister-in-law. And even up to right before this, sister-in-law would consult me on anything regarding them. Or the kids would ask me themselves. So yeah, I understand I did not overstep in any way, and that is the end of that story.
Good for you, OP. That commenter did not make you think of anything else. You knew it was right. You know how this is handled. You know everything that your nephew's doing is completely outlandish. Good for you, OP. You're a great uncle. You tried to be a great parent to, or a father figure to both of them, and one of them's just an entitled brat. My aunt made my mother's funeral into a drama, and I won't let it slide.
R.I.P.
My 24 mom passed away at the end of last month. We both moved home and spent 4 months visiting our mom every day, while simultaneously trying to sort out her affairs, which we are still in the process of doing. We have given up our respective lives in different countries, something we were both able and willing to do for her, and muddled through the best we can ever since. By the way, this comes from user Pale Violet, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. Pretty please. OP says, there was quite a gap between Mom's passing and her funeral, purely because my brother and I wanted to hold it on a Friday so that people coming from further away would be able to stay the weekend if they so wished. There has been so much to sort out for the funeral. We're expecting 100+ people to turn up. So we have been busy writing speeches, organizing the order of service, the wake, etc., to make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible on the day, all the while still being inundated with the administrations, applying for probate, contacting banks, dealing with debt collectors, etc. Our Aunt Sarah, 50s female, which is Mom's sister, has flown over from the other side of the world for the funeral and is spending around 10 days over here. She arrived on Monday, but my brother and I were spending time in the city I lived in before I moved home. We were seeing friends and extended family, and I had to speak to my PhD supervisors. So she went to stay with our other aunt, her sister, Emma. We asked them both to speak at the funeral. Our mom was a very well-loved person, so we would have no trouble finding people to speak at the funeral. But we wanted her sisters to have a chance to commemorate her in their own way. Our funeral minister asked us to send over all the speeches when we had them, and to check that there were no repetition, that no one was speaking for a huge amount of time, things like that. I helped my brother edit his speech, I have gone over speeches of our family friends, and I wrote the official eulogy to include memories from other people. I've been very involved with what everyone is saying because I want to, but also because I want everything to run perfectly on this day. I've written a poem for the funeral and sent it to both my aunts a few weeks ago because I wanted them to feel included with what I had written and to ask their opinion about it. Aunt Sarah sent us her speech last night, and it is lovely. It's roughly 1,600 words, about double the length of my brother's, which is the closing piece, and one of the memories she has included is already referred to in the eulogy. I messaged her and said, "Thank you for your eulogy. It is really lovely, and I think will be a really nice way to begin the service. If it's all right with you, we're going to take out the anecdote as it's mentioned in the eulogy in other friends' memories." Okay, that makes sense. And the occasional line here and there just to slightly shorten the piece, but nothing major. And the funeral minister won't be editing it, by the way. It's us two checking over everything for repetition, etc. We don't want to double up here. I will show you tomorrow the changes we made, but like I say, we don't plan on taking much out. It is a lovely piece, XX. Her reply: the eulogy was supposed to be new to all its audience on Friday. I feel really hurt that you needed to read it before Friday, and that you had to edit it. The paragraph that follows my anecdote makes no sense without it. Every time I have practiced the speech at home in my head or in front of my family, I have sobbed. But practice stoicism. Now I cry as I don't have the means to further edit this. I'm sorry I don't come up to your expectations in my writing as an aunt or mom's sister. If I had known I was going to get graded, I would never have offered to stand up and speak. You only have 50 minutes, so probably better I don't speak at all. You've both seen it, and I wrote it for you. Lovely piece? It doesn't sound like it.
My God.
And wow.
Just come on.
I think we're dealing with entitled people in this episode, and boy, oh boy.
Well, this person's probably also like grieving, like it's their sister's funeral, but it's like you just got to understand, like this isn't being taken out because we think you're a bad writer. We're just trying to, I don't know.
Other people wrote the same thing that you wrote.
Yeah.
They literally said your piece is amazing. We didn't even edit major things. It's just a couple of tweaks here and there, just so things run smoothly. What? Why are you taking this so to heart? I mean, I get it. She wrote a very moving piece for her sister that passed away, for the aunt, speaking from the perspective of the aunt. She wrote something that she wanted to say. I don't know. If you wrote something about your mom or me or anyone that's close to you, and like someone said, so we took like a couple things out, how would you react?
I mean, first I'd be like, all right, but who's using that anecdote? Like, should we switch the order? Like, why does it have to come out of my? If it's my sister,
Yeah.
I'd be asking questions. But if it's like, oh, her kids are using that anecdote, like, okay, like, I don't know. I would have questions, but I also understand why she's upset. But it's like, it's very much not like a your writing wasn't good enough thing. It's like like you said, there's only X amount of time. We just want to make sure that, you know, we're not wasting it, or that it's not just repeated over and over again. It is kind of like telling the way that she responded, where it's like, instead of just being like, hey, I hear you, but I really want to read it how I wrote it. So is there any way that I could still just do that, because that anecdote means a lot to me and I want it to be in the eulogy?
Have we done anything wrong here? It's a lovely idea that everyone can just waltz up to the podium with a surprise speech and speak for 15 minutes each. But unfortunately, that isn't how funerals work. We have time limits. Our funeral minister specifically said nothing should be really over 5 minutes long, and I'm trying my best to make everything run as smoothly as possible. In no way was I going to try to improve the speech. We were supposed to go and collect Sarah from Emma's house today, but Emma phoned to say that Sarah would be going with her to collect our cousins from down south. I asked if that was anything to do with the message she sent me last night, and Emma said, well, you didn't handle it very well. Mom was our sister, and we don't feel like we should have to have what we want to say edited. She continued to say that maybe they shouldn't speak at all, considering they were clearly stepping on our toes. My brother took over the phone call because he could see me getting more frustrated and anxious, and he told Aunt Emma very calmly that we felt hurt by the message Sarah had sent us, that we had spent so long trying to organize his funeral. And the last thing we need is a grown woman throwing her toys out the pram because we wanted to take out a single paragraph of an incredibly long speech. Emma said that Sarah felt slighted that we weren't there when she arrived in the country, that she felt slighted because we have said that she can't stay with us the night of the funeral. We have 12 plus friends coming to stay with us because they've been the ones comforting us the most. And that she felt slighted we had read and edited her speech. Do you know what I feel slighted by? I feel slighted by the fact that it took a week for Sarah's grown children to get in touch after Mom passed away, only to send the most robotic, impersonal message we have ever received from anyone. I feel slighted that Sarah couldn't manage to message my brother back when he told her how seriously ill Mom had become. I feel slighted by the fact she doesn't realize this isn't about her. This is about the very painful, heartbreaking passing of our only parent, and the last thing in the world we need is an emotional breakdown about a single paragraph from a grown woman. She said the speech was for us. It certainly does not feel like it. My brother tried to speak to her on the phone when he spoke to Emma, but she wouldn't. Sarah was supposed to come and stay with us today until next Thursday when she leaves. As far as I'm concerned, I don't particularly want her in my house right now. And by the looks of things, she doesn't want to be here either. So, what do we do? My brother, who has been incredibly level-headed about everything considering, has said we should message her this evening and say she can do her whole speech if she wants. And we will edit the eulogy so that no memories are repeated. That we should apologize for not being here when she arrived. I'm sure she won't understand that, shockingly. We wanted a short break away from our passed-away mother's house before the funeral. A trip that was planned before Sarah even booked the tickets over here. And that we're sorry she can't stay on the night of the funeral, but that it's our friends we want with us, because they have been the ones who comforted us the most throughout this entire process. And maybe next time she should have some consideration for the fact we are two young people dealing with the passing of our mother in the middle of organizing a never-ending list of tasks to complete. We've had no time to grieve yet. She quite literally has no idea what we're going through at the moment. And that maybe she should have dealt with this in a more adult fashion instead of sending angry messages over Facebook. And we have an update. What do you think?
I do think you should just let her do the speech. I also don't think it's that big of a deal if memories get repeated.
I agree.
It's, it's kind of a freestyle. you don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure someone's going to do their speech and then go off and say other things that aren't in the speech, and that's okay. It's you're going to have to go with the flow to some extent. You can't really control all the variables here and make them all perfect.
I feel like you should also not come from a place of, being aggressive or attacking your aunt, but also telling her, like, hey, we've been trying to figure this all out, and we're having a hard time, and we're trying to do the best we can, and you got to give us some slack. You lost a sister, we lost our mom. Can you fill that void right now of just trying to be loving and supporting? We're just trying to do the best we can here with what we have. We never intended to make you feel slighted. We wanted, we're a family, and mom would never want this for all of us. We're sorry. Let's just try and figure this out. We'll leave your speech in there, and hopefully she apologizes too. If she doesn't apologize and she's very pompous, I mean, bite your tongue after the eulogy. Do what you want to do with that. But I feel like just bite your tongue right now. Do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take the initiative, because if anyone's gonna come at you like this, knowing that you've just lost your mom, it's crazy. They're not reasonable. That's not a reasonable thing to do. Not at all.
Again, everyone's emotions are heightened to a 10 right now, so it makes sense. But we have an update. First of all, a clarification. I've had lots of people commenting to say that I was wrong to cut short my aunt's speech, that there shouldn't be time restrictions on expressing grief. We have a 45-minute slot with 4 speeches, 2 poems, committal, songs reflective pieces, a eulogy. There is another funeral after us. If we go overtime, then we will be cut short. So please try and understand why a 15-minute speech is problematic. So there we go. That's the clarification. On saying that, we could have handled things better. Our aunt never asked us about time limitations, etc. Probably because she now lives in a country where funerals are much more relaxed affairs. She knew how long her slot was, so we figured she would work it out, but we should have clarified. I should not have edited her speech. At the time, I genuinely saw it as a compromise, to try and shorten it slightly while still leaving her with 95% of her writing. But I realize now that was the wrong way to go about it. What I should have done was to ask if she feels confident she can read the unedited speech in a set time, and emphasize that if not, she may be hurried along. It would be unfair for the final speech, my brother's, to be cut short because of bad timings, especially considering that we are the ones who have spent hours organizing everything. And by the way, we have plenty of hours that you can listen to with full episodes with stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, your favorite podcast app, and search up OK Storytime. How many hours do we think we have?
A lot. Probably over 1750? 1700?
1738?
1738.
I say what's up. Hello. You can listen to more episodes. But there's a little bit left. I feel like, that should have been clarified right at the start. Hey, please write your speeches. You can write a speech, but that was a huge thing to leave out of. You can write a speech, but keep in mind, we only have this much time.
Right.
So
yeah,
a little tidbit that should have been included now has done this huge explosion with your family.
Yeah, hopefully everyone involved here can just let this go and move on from it as time goes by.
Yeah,
not let
you
it
got to
just
apologize and just let her know straight up, straight out. But let's go ahead and finish up the story. I'll admit, I have some separate frustrations regarding my aunt, and these absolutely spilled over when this issue arose. I think it's fair to say that she also has frustrations directed at us that she also let spill over. I guess these will be sorted out in time. It's not really the time or place right now. My brother spoke to her on the phone last night and apologized on behalf of both of us. And so did she. Good. She'll be reading the unedited speech with the knowledge that it cannot exceed a certain time limit. I have no idea if she plans on staying with us at all, but I hope we can put this behind us and move on to brighter things. Thanks all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
I moved back with my parents, and it feels like a punishment.
Move back out?
I was betrayed by my fiance beyond repair, and as a result, had to move back home temporarily. I was absolutely dreading it because I did so during the vid, and living with my parents was exhausting. I love them, and I want a good relationship with them, but living here has reestablished in their minds an inconsiderate power dynamic that to them, I'm still their young child and they can boss me around however they like. By the way, this comes from throwaway 8264625, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia,
I'm Carly.
and we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, we live in a very high cost of living area, all surrounding states, really. And I'm doing everything in my power to save up so I can afford my own place. But I'm beginning to doubt that can ever happen unless I find random roommates or a partner. I think you should find random roommates. I'm extremely grateful that my parents are letting me stay here and that they understand that our economy isn't like it was when they were younger. So I try to show my gratitude in any way possible. I pay 1/3 of the rent. I constantly offer to help out financially in other ways. I do the grocery shopping. I do the dishes. I cook if needed. I run errands when I'm capable of doing so. And above all, I stay out of their way and keep all my belongings confined to my bedroom or storage. That being said, I find that even in trying to meet them where I can, my parents can act extremely spoiled, particularly my mom, and they ask me favors that I don't find appropriate. My mom spends a majority of her days sitting on her phone, playing games, or talking to her friends, and watching television in her pajamas. She is physically able, in fact. Her doctors have encouraged her to be more active, and honestly, she really does spend her days doing a whole lot of nothing and then complaining about how hard her day was because she had to make a customer service call or something. And yet she constantly asks me to do very petty things for her that she's perfectly capable of doing. For example, if I'm in the living room with her, then permanently leave to go somewhere else in the house and she knows I'm not headed back to the living room, she rarely skips a beat to ask me to bring her dessert.
Okay.
That one's not that bad.
That's really not that bad.
My parents do
You're getting
that.
up anyway.
I do that to my parents. My parents do that to me.
Yeah. Just do
If
back
I'm
to
staying
her.
over.
What
Yeah.
were the ages again? Did we
How
have
old
them?
is OP? Might be in the title. Let's see.
I didn't remember, but more so of the parents.
Yeah.
If we have parent ages. That's like, how old are your parents?
Yeah.
How old are you? Is
I
like
gotta
a
know.
fairly decent factor in that.
Even if I explain I'm not coming back beforehand, she still expects a yes. Sometimes I'll be sitting there after a long day trying to decompress, and she'll still ask me, as if she's not equally as far from the fridge. It's one thing if I get up and ask the room if anyone would like anything, but I feel like she takes advantage of favors to compensate for her own laziness, or expects her family to serve her for some reason. Another example, I'll be working during the week and she's fully aware I am, but will still ask if I will go return a dress she bought for her, when she's got nothing going on, could definitely do it herself, and isn't otherwise preoccupied. For instance, when I'm out running the errand, she'd be watching TV. Sometimes she won't stop and she just takes every opportunity to ask favors. She switches on this very sweet voice too, so I always know when it's coming. And usually starts a sentence with, "Will you be a nice person and..." as though I'm a bad person if I don't. The problem is, whenever I get fed up and start to set boundaries and say no, or even maybe later, or whenever she can read my body language that I'm slightly annoyed, she instantly yells at me, not just, "Oh, okay, that's fine," literally yelling like, "How dare I?" I get an immediate reaction like I'm the rudest, most selfish, most uncaring person in the world if I don't do it. And then she reminds me of all the favors she's done for me as justification for why I should do it without hesitation. Which is completely unfair because she'll do me favors I don't ask her to do. And in fact, wish she wouldn't, like laundry, and then weaponizes them against me as though she's keeping some sort of favor scorecard. Sometimes she'll be mad at me the entire day for this and intentionally avoid me to let me know in her eyes I've messed up. To boot, the reverse is an absolute no-no. I know if I ever dreamed of asking either of my parents for lazy favors like that, they would immediately shut me down, and my mom would be appalled and laugh in my face in a patronizing tone that I'm a big girl and capable of doing it myself. It would be entirely out of the question, but they can't see the hypocrisy. If someone needs me to run to the drugstore or help lift something, I know the important ways to help. I don't mind helping out, truly, but within reason, and I definitely feel taken advantage of in this area. I think my mom has a very 1950s attitude that children serve their parents because that's what she grew up with. She expects to be coddled, but I can't dare ask for help without bothering her. My dad still asks favors, but he also works very hard, and we have a more equal exchange of effort, if you will. Although sometimes it frustrates me that I'm the one to always do the doting. But honestly, even though I'm living here, I have done more than my fair share of helping out over the last few years. Both my parents have had multiple surgeries over the last few years, including during the vid, and I was the only one of my siblings to step in and care for them, even years after quarantine, only to be told I wasn't doing enough, wasn't really doing that much, or sweet sentiments like, well, your siblings are married and busy with their lives, and you're not. And what could you possibly have going on that's more important than taking care of your sick parent? Meanwhile, I have become so accustomed to my mom getting mad at me for asking for help that I now expect that reaction, and I've grown into an adult who never asks anyone for favors because I immediately expect they'll say no. Most people I've encountered would never dare help me out through the good or the bad, which is a very difficult and isolating way to live. Would never dare help me out?
What?
I know something like grabbing your parent a sandwich sounds petty, but what hurts me very deeply is my mom and I always had a strained relationship. She's usually quite harsh and standoffish with me, and I feel like she often only talks to me if she wants something from me that she doesn't want to do herself, purely because she doesn't feel like it. I rarely get I love yous from her, let alone thank yous, so why would I want to go out of my way for someone who talks to me like that? And let me clarify, I do often offer to do small favors like that, but the few times I don't, that's what gets noticed and criticized. More than anything, I hate that I'm being treated like this all because I'm single and this economy doesn't support independence. I'm passing away from my own space and it's not feasible right now, but I am a fully grown, mature, working adult and feel I deserve to be respected as one by my parents. But just because I'm not married, I'm not. At the moment, I also work extensive hours, sometimes 60 to 70 hours a week, to try and save up as much as possible, so it's not like I'm sitting on my behind eating bonbons and then complaining about helping out. Most days, I'm exhausted by the end of work. And honestly, some days as a single adult are very heavy, carrying the burden alone while everyone else has a spouse to lean on. And it would be nice to have a selfless act of service from a family member every now and then. But I would never be able to rely on anyone to do so if my own mother gets pissed at me for asking. I'm confused if you're assuming that.
Like, I'm just not understanding the part about, like, not being married being the factor.
Oh,
of
that's
this.
not my curiosity here is OP keeps saying, like, I can't ask anyone for
That too.
favors. And I'm wondering if you have tried and people have rejected you, or if you just think because your mother rejects you that everyone will. Because that's how that last sentence sounded. I'm so stressed and overwhelmed in my personal life right now, feeling like I've failed at every aspect of life because I have to live at home. And I hate knowing that saying no to one little favor can make me the enemy and make me feel like I can't even do right by my family. Despite the lengths I do go to try and win their favor, it really ruins my entire week. And sometimes I feel like I can't take being treated like a complete letdown one more time over such insignificant things. It's a game I cannot win. Despite all the good I do, one mistake and that's it. By the way, it would be a mistake for you guys not to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I stand by. Have we had a conversation?
Yeah.
Have we exhausted our options to find cheap housing or moving out? I feel like that would be the easiest thing if there's any
Yeah.
way that you could find a cheap studio or some space you could just have your own.
At the same time, I'm resentful. I want to be putting this level of care and energy into a life and home with a husband. And I want to be appreciated for the extreme effort I do contribute, rather than getting all the life sucked out of me by my ungrateful mother. I just feel like this is going to be the rest of my life and I'm completely stuck. Instead of getting to be married and raising a family of my own, I'm trapped as the spinster Cinderella who had to stick around and take care of her parents because I didn't find love and should be so grateful they let me live here and do anything they demand, even if it's degrading. So am I the a-hole for not just doing small favors like this? I feel so conflicted because I always feel like the a-hole no matter the situation. Am I a bad person? Am I being selfish? Or is this something that entitled parents condition you to feel? Does the severe negative reaction match the crime? Is this normal treatment from parents? Am I overreacting? I think that OP is still healing from that hurt with her ex-fiance. And I think is just resenting the fact that she's kind of having to start over in a way, or at least in her mind, because she went from having a fully independent life to now being back with her parents. And I think that's
Yeah.
like so hard to go from independence to not being independent anymore.